big character change, though, is Saruman. In the movie, The Two Towers is a team-up of Saruman and Sauron. Gandalf even calls Saruman Sauron's puppet to destroy Rohan in the movie. This is not how it was in the book. The film, based on Part 2 of The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, 2002's The Two Towers, had some major decisions to make. Tolkien, for narrative purposes, decided to split up the second and third parts of his epic by perspective. The first half of the last two books follows the perspective of Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, Merry, and Pippin, while the second half follows Frodo and Sam. But keep in mind that both stories in the books are happening at the same time. The filmmakers wisely chose to take the more conventional filmmaking route when it comes to showing multiple plot lines and has us flipping back and forth between the two stories going on. This had more of an effect on the Frodo and Sam section of the story. In the Two Towers book, Frodo and Sam's story ends with Frodo being taken up to Cirith Ungol after his battle with Shelob, while in the movie it ends with them being released from Osgiliath by Faramir and following Gollum through the wilderness into Minas Morgul. This caused the addition of the Two Towers Osgiliath sequence. Frodo and Sam are never taken to Osgiliath in the book. Rather, they are released by the Ithilien Rangers from their forest hideout. This sequence was added to introduce the audience to Gondor early because of how much time we'll spend there in the next film, as well as to up the tension between Frodo and Faramir, making the latter's eventual decision to release Frodo more impactful. I think this was a good choice, and it does cause the Frodo and Sam section of The Return of the King to be more exciting. This movie and the next film do add a lot more scenes of Aragorn thinking about his relationship with Arwen. In the book, his and Arwen's relationship is only mentioned a few times and it doesn't affect the story much. I think, for the most part, it worked for the film, but I don't like what they did with Elrond in this part of the story. It's a Hollywood movie, so of course the main character's love interest dad has to be skeptical so he can have a big turnaround in a dramatic way. It is realistic to say, though, that Aragorn probably was thinking about Arwen throughout his journey, but Tolkien decided just not to mention it. The movies did wisely keep Aragorn externally cold about this relationship, because him getting all emotional and riled up about it, like a lot of times in movies these characters do, that would have been out of character for him. A lot of the sequences in Rohan, besides the warg attack, do stay the same. The main change was having a battalion of Lothlorien elves show up at the Battle of Helm's Deep. This did not happen in the book. It was only the 300 Rohirrim against the 10,000 strong Uruk-hai army. But the filmmakers added this because they wanted to show that more than just humans were involved in the war against Sauron. The elves and dwarves were fighting against Sauron too in the books, and we know that because of what is said. Tolkien wanted to make it clear that everyone was joining in on the fight against Sauron, but he was primarily telling the human side of the story. The War of the Ring does involve the Ents. The movie did a good job at capturing how annoyingly long the Ents take to decide anything while the other characters are off fighting the Uruk-hai. Tolkien was showing his love for trees with these characters, but he was also poking fun at the Oxford professors that he worked with. In the book, the Ents decide to attack Isengard immediately after their meeting, and they chant as they march off to war. The movie has the Ents vote not to attack, but they rally after Treebeard sees what has happened and foresees what will happen if they do not act. It's a change from the book for the sake of a big film moment, but it does communicate Tolkien's genuine distaste for industrialism, especially when it's weaponized. In Rohan, we meet the niece of King Theoden, Éowyn the Shield Maiden. The movie quickly makes it clear that she is in love with Aragorn and that he knows it too. The movie even takes lines from the third book for her to say to him in this movie. I don't think this was necessary because it makes Éowyn look unnecessarily awkward, as she is really being pushy with Aragorn. This may have been the intention of the filmmakers, but in the book, Éowyn slowly develops her feelings with Aragorn, and she admits these to him as he's about to depart for the paths of the dead. The way they portray Éowyn does not hurt the films in any way, but for the sake of adaptation, I don't think it was needed. The big character change, though, is Saruman. In the movie, The Two Towers is a team-up of Saruman and Sauron. Gandalf even calls Saruman Sauron's puppet to destroy Rohan in the movie. This is not how it was in the book. Saruman did not want to join Sauron. He wanted to replace him. He wanted to be the Dark Lord. He wanted to be the Lord of the Rings. The Two Towers is not so named because we have a team up of bad guys. It's because we have two different bad guys that both want the ring, and they're closing in on our main characters. Sauron decides to take the back seat and watch how this wannabe performs. The defeat at Helm's Deep was not Sauron's, it was Saruman's. The filmmakers had some major choices to make with the adaptation of this book, and for the most part, they made the right calls. The structuring of the narrative as Tolkien wrote it had to be changed in the way it was delivered to make the movie the best it could be. This does not mean, however, that they threw away what the book was. Just like with Part 1, this movie tries its best to capture the sequences from the book, but there were still some changes that were unnecessary. With that being said, The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers gets an adaptation score of 8.5 out of 10. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Movies with Michael. If you enjoyed this adaptation video, you can show it by leaving a like on this video and comment down below what things do you think I missed. I understand that I couldn't get to everything in this video, but tell me what you thought the filmmakers did right and wrong when adapting this book to the big screen, and please remember to subscribe to this channel and click the notification icon to be notified about my latest videos. That's all for now, and I'll see you all next time.